Okay, started.
Now,
We can.
good evening
Mm.
once again. Thank you for joining us at this hour on our webinar, Becoming Him, Raising Emotionally Old Boys in a Digital and Disconnected World. And our day two speaker is Miss Shakirah Eniola Olajobi. She is the CEO of Brainy Educare Services, a practicing psychologist, parenting coach, and certified neuroscience coach with over a decade of experience. She specializes in cognitive profiling, emotional health education, and brain training for both children and adults. She is a certified assessment expert accredited by the British Psychological Society and the Federation of European Psychologists. She also serves as team lead at the Neurobite. In addition, she is an accredited management consultant with professional certifications in entrepreneurship management from Lagos Business School, as well as school leadership and management from Harvard Business School and HGSC. Mrs. Shakira is director of the Outlier School, Surulere, a consultant with the Universal Basic Education Commission, Abuja, and a learning facilitator at the University of Lagos Consults. She is an author and she has published emotional wellness kits for children and adults, widely distributed across 9 countries during the pandemic, and more recently, a children's storybook on sleep. Her career reflects a strong commitment to education, psychology, and emotional wellness, with significant contributions to both local and international audiences. Thank you for making it a date with us, ma'am. You have the floor now, ma'am.
So much, moderator. Welcome. Hello, everyone. Good evening. Nice to see all I want to say beautiful faces, but guess what? I can't see anyone's face. So I'm just going to say it's good to see all our lovely names. I see Krista Zainab, I see Eniola, Idu, Kadri, Lupeju, required all for joining us. Yes, this is a topic that should I say is close to my heart. I'm supposed to be talking about raising boys, and I know some of us don't know that I have mostly boys. So I have 5 children and 4 of them are boys. So yes, I am raising 4 boys. Even though 2 of them are adults, they're over 18. I still have one 18 in a few months, and then I have a 7-year-old. So I have just one daughter. Alhamdulillah. So it's a topic that I will be not just from what I know as my work as a, but also because I have personal experience raising boys, and I also live in the society that we all live in, and we know all the narrative. Someone says she is unable to hear anything. Can anyone hear me, please?
We can hear you clearly, ma'am. Loud and clear, ma'am.
Okay. Okay, great. All right. So
Probably
I'll
it's
just
our
go on.
network.
Perhaps it's that person's network. Yes, she may have to consider logging
Mm.
out and then trying back again. All right. So I do have slides to share. I don't know if that's something that I'm going to be able to do. Otherwise, I can just talk without my slides, but I do have slides to share. So is it okay for me to go ahead and share my screen?
Yes, please, you can, ma'am.
All right. Thank you. Okay. Um, just a minute. Okay. My screen should be up now. I hope we're able to see. Yes, thank
Yes,
you. I see
clearly.
the thumbs up. Yes, thank you, everyone. So, raising him whole is what I'm to talk about. And the him, we're talking about our boy child. We're talking about our, yeah, I see raised hands. I'm not sure if I'll take questions. I'm sure the moderator will facilitate that. So if you have any questions, either drop them in the chat box or you wait for the Q&A section. All right, so raising him whole, we're talking about raising the boy child. And I know this is quite an unusual topic. I was surprised when I got the invitation as well, because we're talking about girl child most of the time. And everybody knows the International Day of the Girl Child. But I'm not sure that Some of us do not even know if there's an International Day of the Boy Child, talk less of the date. But, you know, it's interesting that finally we're having this conversation. If you ask me, this is a conversation that is overdue. Yes, because we're supposed to be talking about how do we nurture emotional intelligence, identity, and safe expression in our boys, especially because of the trend that has almost made a permanent mark in our families in Africa. And I don't know if I'm the only one seeing this, but I want us to be very factual. Let us use our inner eyes. The Yorubas will say, Ojunu. I apologize if you do not speak Yoruba. Ojunu means like your inner eyes. Let us just take a second look at our families. And I say Africa because this extends beyond Nigeria. You would see families where, I mean, we went to school, we did social studies, and we were taught that the man is the head of the family, but that's not what we see. You see families being run by women, not just in terms of the finances, but also in terms of the operational logistics at home, putting the home together, running the affairs of the home, even when the man has the ability to. So I'm not talking about families where the man is jobless or maybe the man has some form of shortfall or anything like that. I'm talking about how this is fast becoming a trend and the level of irresponsibility among the menfolk continues to rise. This is not to ruffle any feathers, but this unfortunately is the reality that we are beginning to see in a lot of African homes. And, you know, it's partly because we have continued to show so much, we've continued to shower so much attention, so much work is being done on building the girl child, which is fantastic. But this, of course, shouldn't come at the expense of building the boy child, because they are both children and they both deserve of our, deserve our attention and our support in every way. If we also look at the indicators when we're talking about mental health, we're beginning to have more and more cases of men that would actually go ahead to commit suicide. Yes, women are more emotional. We have more women experiencing mental health cases like depression and all that. But we also live in a society that doesn't even expect a man. Excuse me. So if you hear that a woman is depressed, you say, hey, yeah, she better not kill herself, blah, blah, blah. But when you hear a man is depressed, say, how can? What's wrong with him? Can't he man up? Or you hear that a man is crying, say, what's a babyish thing to do? Meanwhile, crying is human. So these are some of the reasons why it's very important to talk about how to raise him whole, because like we may have seen, we have indeed failed our boys, some of whom are now men. We have failed them in raising them whole. We're complaining because now they've become our fathers, they've become our husbands, and we're not proud of what we've done. So while we're not calling out the male folk to say they messed up, we're calling ourselves, all of us, male and female included, to say we have messed up because somehow we haven't given the attention that the boy needs. We keep giving all the attention to the girls. I met a boy who once said, oh, girls are so lucky because they get everything. And when I said, oh, what is everything? He said they get all the attention. They're the ones that they're pampered. They're the ones that are giving gifts. They're the ones that get everything. We get nothing. I'm like, oh, really? But he meant it and he felt really bad about it. So it's therefore important that we begin to pay attention to these things that matter. Okay, so trying to see how I'll change my slide. Okay. Right. Okay. I hope I'm on track. Okay. This would. Oh, I'm trying to navigate. It's a PDF, so yes. So raising him all. We're talking about emotional intelligence. We're talking about identity and safe expression. My key, would I say the phrase or the sentence I want us to, this is beyond the phrase, it's actually a complete sentence that I want us to take away for this is that the boy child is not a rock. that's what we've always treated boys as. He's a soul in need of care, just like the girls. The fact that boys are not as emotional, the fact that they're not as expressive, does not stop them from being in need of care. They are human. Yes, let's talk a little bit about male and female and why they're different. So research has shown that male and female do not think alike. The man is more resilient physically. The woman is more resilient emotionally. And somehow we've taken that physical resilience to mean that emotionally they're also fine. Research has also shown that women are more expressive of emotions. So as a woman, if I'm sad, you're more likely to see it than if a man or a boy is sad. That is like our difference, basically talking about how we were raised or how we were created. I'll give you a typical example. When it also comes to style and intuition, women or female have it higher. So a research was done on 4 5-year-olds, male and female separately. So a woman made lemonade, and she didn't put any sweetener, no sugar, nothing. And then they made a group of girls first to pass, and she was to offer them lemonade and tell them to try it out because she was starting a lemonade business. So when they passed by her, she goes, "Hello, lovelies. I've got some lemonade here for sale, but today I'm giving it out free because I want feedback. I want to know how my lemonade is and what you have to say about it before I kick off my business." So the girls branched. It was in the neighborhood. It was safe. So let's not focus on all the safety drinking from stranger part of it. No. Apparently in that experiment, it was meant to be some sort of a familiar face. So they each took a cup of lemonade, and when they sipped it, it was, "Oh, what is this?" So their facial expressions could tell. But when the lady asked them, so my dears, how's my lemonade? They looked at her face. They hadn't told themselves anything. Remember, they're just 4 or 5-year-olds. And they did not want her to feel sad or unhappy or disappointed. So they just told her, "Ma'am, it's okay, but do you think you could add some sugar to make it better? Do you think you could?" And she said, "Oh, sure. Thank you so much for your feedback. I'll do that." And then they went their way. Now, when it was the boy's turn to pass, nobody should come for me. This was an experiment that was done. The same age group of children, 4 5-year-old boys, passed, and she did exactly the same thing she had done to the girls and asked them to come take a taste. And then they each took a cup to sip their lemonade. And as they, just the first, not even a gulp now, a sip, and they go, "This is horrible. What is this?" They did not mean to hurt her. But that is how boys typically are. They are not as aware of the impact of what they say, what they see, or what they do on others. So these were not children. These were preschoolers, both the boys and the girls. They hadn't been exposed to teachings and emotional intelligence or something. So we can't say that, "Oh, they've taught this was, they've not taught." No, they were all preschoolers. But the boys were very frank and straightforward with their comments, even if it hurt. But the girls tried to look for a nicer way to put this across so that it wouldn't seem like they were hurting her. So what this means, basically, is that boys are in fact more in need of being nurtured with emotional intelligence because it doesn't come as naturally as it does in girls. And that's why we can't afford to tell a boy, "You have to man up, you have to do this, you have to do that," because already they are coming with a little less of emotional expression or empathy as compared to their female counterparts. And so we can't afford to worsen it by thinking that boys are rocks. No, they're not. They're human. They're souls in need of care. And you did hear me say that emotionally, women have more elastic resilience when it comes to bearing things emotionally. I mean, when it does come to going through certain things, you would agree with me that this is the case. So if this is the case, how then do we ensure that we nurture our boys' emotional intelligence? How do we make them have an identity? How do we make them feel safe to express themselves? Because sometimes boys want to express themselves, but the world shuts them up. You see a 4-year-old girl crying, you carry her. You see a 4-year-old crying and you say, do you think you're still a baby? Don't know you're a boy. People will just be laughing at you. And we say these things so carelessly, and the situation seems to be worsening, and we're seeing some of the repercussions. So we need to break down. Let's start from identity. For identity, right, so this is our silent struggle. How often do we ask boys, how do you feel? We rarely do. We tell them to man up. We see them that they're silent and we think that's being strong. But what they're doing in reality is what we have asked them to do as a society. We've asked them to suppress their emotions or their feelings. And you know, the thing about suppressing emotions is that it piles up somewhere. It doesn't go away. It doesn't evaporate. No, it's non-degradable. It's not biodegradable at all. So it keeps piling and piling and piling. I have a lot of bitter men out there, and they develop unhealthy coping mechanisms when they're older. And this isn't something that we want to keep happening. We want to change the narratives, and we want to see what we can do differently. Okay. So before I leave here, and I'm going to spend quite a bit of time here because I want to break it down. I don't know how much time I have. I need to know so that I can manage my time and I don't spend all day just going on and on. Moderator, can you please let me know when am I supposed to stop?
We're only not for 6:30, inshallah.
Okay, all right, thank you. So I would start by saying that if you want to raise him whole, the first thing is identity. We do not need our boys feeling that there's something they're not good enough for, or there's something that's beyond them. A child is a child. Let them cry if they want to. I know there's the fear of, are you now going to raise a woman rapper? Are you not going to raise a child who's too fragile? He's a boy, he has to da. But yet, the ideology has failed us woefully. So when you have a child, when you have an infant who's a boy, please care for him the way you care for an infant girl. Dress him up well, let him wear nice clothing, and, you know, call him nice names and all that. And as he's growing older, continue to do that because you want him to grow up safe, to express himself and have an identity of being a human being, not saying, you want people to laugh at you. Don't you know you're a boy? You need to man up. Why are you crying like a girl? Blah, 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 blah. And then, of course, as they grow older, we begin to introduce things like it's time for house chores and only the girls are going to work. I told us at the beginning of this talk, I have 4 boys and I have just a girl. So if I have to say in my own house that only the girls house, you can imagine how very skewed that would be, how very unfair that would be. But in my house and the house I was raised, everybody house chores. When I was growing up, I have 2 brothers and a sister, so we're 2 boys, 2 girls. Everybody took a share of the house chore, including cooking and washing plates. So I have a brother who makes fantastic amala till date. He makes amala better than me, and it wasn't anything to be ashamed of. And I did wash my father's car. I would wash my father's car, wash the tire. There wasn't this is boy job or this is girl job. House chore is house chore. Let the children be exposed, because this is going to form a part of their identity. Now, if you break emotional intelligence down, it's basically beginning from self-awareness. Let the boy know and be aware, this is me, and there's nothing wrong with me expressing myself. However, the additional thing we want to teach them is because boys have that edge physically, and they have more composure. You know, that thing about not being as expressive is supposed to be a strength, and I'll explain to you why. So for us as women, when we're frustrated, when we're agitated, We can break down emotionally and say things that we do not mean. A man is typically not like that. That's why sometimes when you need to take very, very delicate decisions, you might be a bit concerned that if you put a woman in this position, sentiment can take the better part of her, if you get what I mean. So it's supposed to be a strength that boys are supposed to leverage upon, but they cannot if they do not start with a safe expression and identity, and then with self-awareness, knowing that this is me, and then self-acceptance, self-management. This is me and this is how I can get better. So I'm human. It's okay for me to cry, but I also have an obligation to look out for and to protect the people around me. And that is the angle we should be coming from, not the angle of, yes, we want masculinity, but masculinity can have multiple meanings. It can mean, oh, you're not meant to cry, you're not meant to break down, you're supposed to act like all is well all the time. Or it can come from the angle of, yes, you do have some things that women do not have, not because you're superior, but because we're different. Because when we talk about gender roles, there's usually a lot of debate, and I wonder why the debate. There is no basis for comparison, dear parents. There's no basis for saying a man is better than a woman or a woman is better than a man. It's like I need to renovate a house, and I'm saying a carpenter is more important than a bricklayer. Says who? They have different roles to play. We are the hands that rock the cradle. We are the ones that determine how the society goes. So a man is not better than a woman, and a woman isn't better than a man. There's no basis for comparison. What we need to know is that everybody should stand up for their roles. And part of the role of the woman is to nurture the young souls, because a woman is a nurturer naturally. A woman is the one that is more emotional. She's the one that's more expressive. If you check most preschool teachers and most people that work in early childhood are women. They're the ones that have a higher pitch voice. They're the ones that love to sing and dance more. So it makes them natural nurturers. And men, by the nature of how they're made, they're natural protectors. It doesn't make you less of a woman if a man has to protect you. And it doesn't make you less of a man if a woman has to nurture you. So those are natural roles that we must be willing to embrace if we want the world to become peaceful again. Because again, it's really sad to see all of the things that we see today. So masculinity, hold view is toughness, no tears, dominance, you must dominate is what you say that goes. No. Masculinity should be redefined. The strength called masculinity should be redefined as responsibility. I have job to do. If I'm the head of the family, this is what is expected of me. Balance, empathy. I can't say I'm the head of the family and I'm not the one running the home. I have to be the one, and I have the capacity to do so. But I need to learn how to be responsible. I need to learn how to be accountable. I need to learn how to be empathetic. I need to learn balance. What research is finding these days is that women are doing excellently well when it comes to top managerial positions, because these days women are carrying all the load. They're doing the nurturing work, and they're also doing the work of the war front, which isn't meant to be. It's meant to be a division of labor. Imagine, again, back to my example of renovating a home. Why should a carpenter have to do the work of the bricklayer? Why don't we just face our own work? And that is what raising boys whole would do for us. It will help boys to grow up to be responsible. Both the boy and the girl child will do the house chores. But when the neighbor's child wants to bully the children, the boy knows I have to stand up for myself and my sister because I'm stronger. Because my sister can just get pushed roughly and she bursts into tears. But I have more physical strength and I'm going to stand up and protect her. That should be the new definition of masculinity. Not that I'm going to use my being a boy to bully my sister, or I'm going to use being a boy to remain in the living room playing games or gisting, and my sister is in the kitchen cooking. No, we need to raise our boys to be able to cook We need to raise our boys to be able to wash plates, to sweep, to do everything else. The same thing for the girls. And then, of course, we'll have our preferences as we grow up, and that's okay. And it's not because they have to do it for life. For example, I was at a parenting program earlier this morning, and I did say that when my children were still quite young, I made it a point of duty, and I know that to some of us this sounds like really harsh and extreme, but you have to wash with your hands as a child in my house. You're not allowed to use the washing machine. You graduate to using the washing machine when I'm satisfied that you can wash your clothes well. And I remember one of my children saying, Mommy, but it's not fair. By the time we grow up, there'll be washing machines everywhere, so we really won't need to wash clothes. I said, yes, I agree, you won't need to wash clothes. But for now, you have to learn to wash clothes, because washing clothes does not end at washing clothes. So for me as a psychologist, every single house chore your child does is a determinant of their success. And research has even proven that. A research was done in Harvard recently, and they discovered that house chores is one of the main predictors of success in children, because it teaches them delayed gratification, it teaches them resilience, it teaches them teamwork, all sorts of things. So if you're washing clothes and you need to wash the color of a white shirt, for example, you're learning to pay attention to details. So even when you graduate to using the washing machine, I don't have to wash clothes with your hands anymore. That skill, paying attention to detail, you've learned it for life. So please don't look at Austria and say, oh, I have a nanny, or I have two nannies, or I have maids and maids. There's no need for my children to learn. There is a need. House chore is a major predictor of success for children. Not my words, research proven, and you can go ahead to verify so that you understand the need for every single child to be involved in house chores, boys or girls. And if you have just boys, are you saying that they're not going to do any work? Please allow them to, because they're going to be better for it. So let's move on to the role of caregivers and parents, of course. I've talked about some of these things, yes. We are the ones that plant identity and safety. The words we use, we need to be careful. A lot of times we can be careless with our words, and we just go on and say, you know you're a boy, you can't do that, you know you're a boy. What does that mean? If I'm a boy, I'm human. If something is wrong, let it be wrong. If something is right, let it be right. Too many men are not empathetic today because they don't even know what it takes to run the home. You see situations where, we've heard a lot of stories. A woman is heavily pregnant. The man comes home very late and says, I want to eat pounded yam and vegetable. Like, hello? If you have ever made pounded yam and vegetable, you would know that it's not something you can come home at 8 p.m. and be asking for. That is not even empathetic, especially not when your wife is heavily pregnant. Even if she isn't, at 8 p.m., no. So it's important that as caregivers, we plant this identity early and we let our children know from day one that, yes, you're a boy, but you're a human being, first of all. Yes, you're a girl, you're a human being, first of all. There is no point making the girls do all the house chores and making the boys lounge because you think it's a boy's work. Or there is no point making the boys feel like they must man up, they can't cry and they can't express their emotions. It's if you have a boy who's emotional, you have a boy that cries a lot and you're getting a bit worried that my son is always crying. Okay, I came across a parent who has a teenage boy, a teenager, and he cries at the slightest provocation, and she was really concerned. And she had a conversation with me that this is a boy and he's crying, that even in school they laugh at him and all, but I don't want to tell him that because I don't want him to feel unsafe about who he is, so that he won't start suppressing and hiding his feelings. And I absolutely agreed with that, and I told her what the solution should be is to help him build his emotional resilience, his emotional strength, so that he understands that I don't always have to resort to crying. There's a biological age where there's absolutely nothing wrong if a child cries practically all the time. A 2, 3, 4, 5-year-old, 6, even 6 might cry a lot, but you expect that when they're transiting to their preteen years, 8, 9, the boys begin to cry a lot less, and the girls still cry a bit. Even as women cry a lot of times more than the boys, and that's part of our nature as nurturers and their nature as protectors. So for that parent, I absolutely agreed that there was a cause for concern, but the concern is not coming from the angle of they'll be laughing at him and no, it's coming from the angle of if he's crying a lot for everything, even things that he shouldn't be crying for. I mean, even a typical teenage girl won't cry for it. What could be wrong? Does this mean that he's experiencing some kind of trauma? Has there been some kind of experiences in the past that is still affecting him? And how can we help? Not shut up, get lost. How can you be crying? Do you think you're a baby? You're 14, you're still crying like a baby. If I say, do you want me to? No. It's coming from a point of there's something we need to fix in that, or there's something we need to work on. Don't let me say fix. There's something we need to work on in that child, and it's a sign that that child needs help. It's a sign that that child needs help. Like I did say earlier today, children show that they need help when it comes to the emotional health through their behavior and expressions. So a child who's misbehaving, who's always in trouble, a child who's always angry, a child who's extremely disobedient, a child who's extremely emotional and always crying, those are red flags. These children are telling you there's something wrong with me, I need help. So mentors need to model strength with integrity, and it should be about true strength. You know, a lot of times, even some of these boys that we keep telling, man up, behave like a man, behave like a man, they don't even have the physical strength that we expect them to have. Because truth is, the hormones that the boys have in their body, they're more about a lot of strength, physical tone, but they don't even have it. And then we keep saying man up, man up, man up. But when something that truly requires courage comes up, a lion appears and we say, where are the men? They will run away. But they're the same ones that they've been told, don't cry, don't do this, don't do that. So we need to model strength with integrity. We need to nurture boys as well as girls. We need to guide boys as well as girls. They didn't come from heaven with a manual on how to navigate. No. So boys need guidance. Boys need mentors. Boys need to have conversations. Research shows that the average man, when they have mental health challenges, will refuse to go for help. They don't go for therapy because our environment makes it look like it's you are less of a human. You're a weakling. How can you go for therapy? But the truth is, it's like saying you're a weakling for having malaria or cough or catarrh or cold. They're human, they can have a tough time emotionally, and there's absolutely nothing wrong in seeking help. And so even when our boys are younger, they need guidance. When they're teenagers, they need mentors that they can get strength from, you know, and as they grow older, they still need to have conversations with people who have been there. They need to have like opportunity to be guided rather than we assuming that, oh, they know everything. So a reflection prompt at this point is, who's a mentor that shaped your own values, whether you're male or female? And you would realize that some of them were men. Indeed. Yes. So it's important that we should give all our children, including boys, an opportunity to be mentored and to be handheld as they navigate through life. Okay. So how do we make space for softness? Softness that would not injure them, or softness that will still help them to grow. Softness is not the same thing as weakness. We have too many hard men. We have too many men that their wives are crying and telling them things and they walk away or they sleep off. We need more men that can actually listen. And that softness is what we need to raise our boys with. Let boys be allowed to cry without shame. Crying is therapeutic. Yes, like I said, as they grow older, the hormones in their body are not as expressive as those of the girls. So you naturally expect that boys will not cry as much. But if a boy is crying, please don't ever say that. Don't you know you're a boy? Why are you crying? Blah, blah, blah. Please don't ever say that. If you think a child is crying too much, then look at it from a point of, how do I help this child to get stronger emotionally, rather than how can a boy be crying? Yes, a boy can cry. Let them be able to express their fears safely. When they express their fears, what it does is it helps us to be able to help them better at overcoming those fears. We expect a boy to be courageous, but they should be able to say it when they are afraid. so that we can help them to become more courageous. We should also allow boys to show kindness. There's nothing wrong in being kind, absolutely nothing wrong. And I know that the mothers here will agree with me that we need more kind men out there, because a whole boy is what becomes a whole man. A man who's going to protect his family, who's going to stand up for his family, who's going to manage the affairs of the home, needs to be a man who's extremely empathetic, extremely kind, extremely free to express himself, and also protect and stand up for his family. So we need to make space for softness, because softness is absolutely not the same as weakness. We should stop seeing them as one and the same. So let's look at this takeaway, because I want us to make to have enough room for questioning. Let's look at this. For boys, for girls, a lot of times, oh, how are you, my princess? We give them all sorts of names. Let's also ask boys, how do you feel today? And let them know that it's okay not to be fine. What I tell children is, feel your feelings. Feelings are not wrong or right. Feelings are just what they are, feelings. What can be wrong or right are the actions that follow the thoughts that come from our feelings. And that's one thing we need to let them know. It's okay for you as a boy to feel sad, to feel angry, to feel confused. You're human, to feel anything. But how are you going to react as a result? Are you going to say because you're angry, you're going to slap or hit? That is not masculinity. That is bullying. And that's why we have men who actually beat up their wives. If they were to be in a real wrestling match, they will run away, because a lot of times they're cowards. But they go ahead to beat their wives or their daughters mercilessly, because they've been raised to think that as a man, you must show that you are a man up. But that's not really what they need. So we need to ask boys, how are you feeling? Just the same way we're asking the girls. And it's okay if they say, oh, I feel scared. Yes, they say, you can't be scared, oh, you're a boy. Oh. They can be scared. But you would use that opportunity to help them to build courage, even though they're afraid, because fear has two meanings. Fear can mean fear everything and run. It can also mean face everything and rise. So it's okay for a boy to be afraid. Maybe you have roaches in the house sometimes, or you have rats in the house sometimes, and your boys are afraid, or they can't kill a rat. Some of the women here cannot. I can't. We'll scream and just run away. Yeah! But you expect a boy to be able to say, oh, where is it? Where is it? I'm going to get a brush or something, or a stick, and hit it and get it dead. That's what we expect. So if you have a boy who's afraid or terrified, there's nothing wrong. He's expressing himself. So for you as a nurturer, for you as a mentor, a caregiver, you should be asking, how can I help him to become courageous? How can I help? Because he's going to someday be the head of a family. He's going to someday run the affairs, the operational logistics in the home. He's going to run it someday. How do I help him to be able to stand up to his responsibility and to be empathetic about it? Okay, I'm going to show him how to do it and let him see there's no big deal. And we're going to do this together. And that is why it's important for boys to know, just like girls, it's okay not to be fine. It's okay to be scared. But what will you do as a result of that feeling is what matters. I'm hungry, but I'm not going to slap my sister because I'm hungry. I won't do that. She's not less of a human because she's female, and I'm not more of a man because I'm male, or vice versa. We also need to encourage empathy in daily life. Like I told you through the example of the lemonade experiment that I shared, women come with a higher chunk of empathy than men naturally. So we want to help our boys to be more empathetic. So maybe your children are playing and the girl fell and started crying and the boy just laughed at her and walked into the house. Have a conversation with him about why that is not good enough and what he should do differently next time. Go back outside, apologize to your sister, help her up and bring her in. If he can take good care of his sister, chances are that he will absolutely take good care of his wife and children. So we need to encourage empathy in daily life. We need to correct with love, not humiliation. We should stop making boys feel guilty for crying or for expressing fear or confusion. They are human, it's okay, but you want to help them to develop the skill set they need for life through safe expression. You want to celebrate kindness as strength. We have too many mean people. We need more kindness. Kindness should be the new cool. I was talking to a group of teenage boys recently. There were quite a lot, like over 500 boys in one, in one big hall. And I said, kindness is the new cool. And they were looking at me like, but isn't that like weak? No, it's not. Kindness should be the new cool. The fact that you're stronger than me, the fact that you're taller than me, doesn't mean that you should be mean. It means you should protect me if I'm in danger. Yes. So we need to celebrate kindness as a strength. We need to, in every way, help our children to know that kindness is the new cool, and there's actually nothing cool about being mean, because again, we have too many mean practices going on among children and teenagers. Yes. So in conclusion, strong roots create strong men. So we need our home to be strongly rooted in our values. We need to ensure that we introduce this to our boys early, just like we do for the girls. We need to ensure that we help our children to understand that softness makes strength sustainable. You have to be soft as a man. Let's look at the greatest men in history. They were soft, but they were strong as well. So softness and strength can coexist. In fact, softness makes strength sustainable. Okay, so my question to you, and it's a reflection question, not one that I necessarily require answer for. What is the one thing you do differently for the boys in your life? What is the one thing you do differently for the boys in your care? What is the one thing you do differently for the boys you teach if you're an educator? What is the one thing you do differently for the boys on your street, in your neighborhood, all around you? Because it's not until you give birth to them that you can actually nurture empathy and kindness in boys. It's not until it's from you that you can make him whole. There are so many boys out there that are looking for a mentor figure and somebody to actually help them to become whole. And I hope that all of what we've heard would be useful for us, and I'm hoping to take in questions, contributions, criticisms even, and anything else that we think that is necessary. Thank you all for listening. I know that we haven't had any interruptions, but I know there's been a lot of engagement. I see all the emojis flying all over. It makes it really feel very interactive. Thank you. I'd say that this is perhaps the first time I'm seeing this kind of emotions. I can see the clapping, I can see the hearts, I can see the thumbs ups. Yes, thank you, thank you. Thank you so very much. So I'm going to hand over back to the moderator at this point.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Mom. It's been a very great session so far. We are really amazed at how much we're able to cover within the short period of time, and it's been a very amazing one. We could see people dropping a lot of nuggets on the webinar group and here in the chat. Thank you so much, Mom. It's been a pleasure hearing from you, the energy, and the beautiful coincidence. When we are inviting you based on the expertise, being a child therapist, an educational psychologist, a very well celebrated mental health professional. But we never knew you are a mother to 4 grown-up boys. And you've definitely seen the journey, right, from the newborn stage to the infancy, toddlerhood, up till adults. I mean, we have been able to tap so much into your ocean of knowledge. Thank you so much, Mom. We're very grateful that you made it here. So if you have questions for her, I'm going to be going through the chat. Please drop your questions. We're going to be checking because we are also, the Google Meet room got filled up. So we're also live streaming on Telegram. So I'm going to be checking on Telegram for questions on here and also on the webinar group. So do we have any questions? I think people were so much enjoying the session, they couldn't even type. Let me just check it's on the other platform. If you have questions, please, you should start asking now. But I think I have one. Okay. All right. So let me just write everybody and ask my own. So, but sometimes it used to look like those boys' children, they know it's to hear word on time. And I know many people agree with that. So even when you try to raise them equally, they'll still do one stronger that they can shall not hear you and they cannot obey. And I could remember that even my son, that is only 5 years old, there was a day I asked him that, okay, so why is it that sometimes you just behave naughty? And he was like, and he told me that it's because his middle name carries the meaning of my crown has come. His middle name is Ademide. And I was wondering the correlation between the fact that you're Ademide and not listening to. So he said, yeah, I mean, sometimes I just feel like a king and I want to do what I want. That was exactly what he said. So I'm wondering what we should do in those cases when they will not just listen.
Okay, so I'll answer your question, but after this, I'll take all the questions before I answer so that we don't take so much time. Okay. So yes, one thing I didn't mention is that even when you raise them equally, you still see that boys are clearly different and you require more energy. So I'll say the solution is to raise them equitably rather than equally. So I'll tell you what, at home, when I was raising my children at home, the girl was more organized. She had a room to herself, while all the boys had a room that they were sharing, the three of them. Because, I mean, four of them are basically like age mates. The one who's 7 now wasn't even born at the time. So 3 of them in a room and then just one girl in another room. And I tell you, if I ask them to clean up their room or to arrange their room, the girl will finish way ahead. She's the only one who she will finish, and the room was usually very organized. And the boys, there were 3 of them, you'll still find their room scattered a lot of times, So I'll say, what are you boys, But the truth is that's part of their nature. And what that means is you need to take extra time, extra care, extra explanation. Boys do not have the kind of intuition that girls have. When you're down and you're carrying a long face, it's your daughter that would likely see that there's something wrong, but you can train them. So when it comes to, one of the things we say about boys is we say boys are stubborn. But you see, calling them stubborn in itself is going to make them worse. So we'll say boys they have stronger will than girls. But the truth is you can also tame them. So they're not as organized means you need to look at their rooms more. In fact, I got to a stage where my Saturday mornings, I'm going straight to the boys' room. I don't even branch in my daughter's room because I know that it will be in order. So it means they need more attention and they need you to be on their case. And then boys usually do not pay attention to details as much as girls would naturally do. So one of the things I did for my boys was I introduced them to as many handicrafts as possible. So you learn how to do origami, you're going to learn how to knit. All of these things will help them to pay attention to more details. And of course, when it comes to the issue of emotions, one of my sons who struggled a lot with smiling and, like when I travel and come back, hugging me and all, he would just say, "Mommy, welcome," not really with a hug. My daughter would jump. So I would tell him that you're not even happy to see me. You say, "I'm happy," but you're not showing it. Give me a hug. So all my boys hug me. I have, like I said, 2 of them are adults now, and they still hug me. When we hug. One of them is still in the university, so we do not get to see so often. We see just once in a year. The other one who's out of uni and we're both living in Lagos, we hug every time we see, our regular greeting. And that was how I raised them. So we can actually help them to develop that empathy. So for my son who wasn't smiling enough, I'll tell him in the morning, "Where's my smile?" When he wants breakfast, "Where's my smile?" Then I bought him t-shirts, "Smiling is charity." I did all sorts. I'll look at him and say, give me a smile now. So you can actually coach your boys to develop into the kind of humans that we need to have. So if your son is able to understand that, these things I do really stresses mommy out, let's have a conversation about it. And because boys have more energy, you also do not want to just lock up that energy and say, but can't you see your sister? A girl can sit at the art and craft corner and be painting and drawing, but a boy is not interested in that. So let him carry his football and go outside and play ball or go and ride bicycle or something. They also want to take more risks. At the end of the day, you need him to use the energy. Otherwise, you're going to start saying he's naughty, he's stubborn or something like that. So we can actually groom our boys and tame them without them losing their strength and masculinity. And I hope I've answered your question that way. All right, so I'll take all the other questions together so we can save time.
All right, thank you so much, ma'am. We have a lot of questions actually, so I'm just going to select about 5 of them, so that we can. I don't think we can cover all of them. But before I start sharing the questions, everybody, I mean, we've been getting a lot of messages about recording. The recording files are so huge. And then we also have people that reach out to us that based on, we've had very great sessions in the past too, and they have all been for free as a non-profit. So they've been asking how can they get access to that. So it's going to be very difficult sharing one by one. A group member did mention the fact that we should probably create a YouTube channel, not monetized, just to be able to host all our long videos so that you could just watch them at will, both the one you were present and the one we've held in the past before you joined us. So for that reason, we created a YouTube channel yesterday, not fully set up, but just at least we've published it. So that we're going to be dropping the handle on the chat. So just please subscribe to that channel so that once we start uploading the videos, you would see the recordings, including this one. So now I'm going to start taking the questions. So for those asking, is on the chat and is also on the webinar group. Just check. You could just subscribe there, right? And then once we hit 100 subscribers, we'll start sharing the recordings. So we have a question. This is quite long. So she said, how can we start to be there for grown-up boys? And then based on what you said, definitely, right? The way we handle the children definitely tells on them. And once we show them that love, that affection, yes, it does show up. Thank you so much, ma'am. So she's asking that how can we be there for grown-up boys that are already teens? So meaning she thinks probably everything you've shared so far relates more with the younger ones. So those ones are already teenagers and then they have not been there for them, not show them all this affection. How can they start getting better? So then someone asks that, do I tell my boy to fight back when he gets bullied? He's so calm and sometimes some girls bully him. Can I proceed, ma'am, with the other questions? Okay, so this question reads.
Please, I'm noting them down.
Okay, that I have a 5-year-old who is very emotional. He cries at the slightest issues. He cries when you reprimand him for doing something wrong. It's a very long question, but the main point is that he's very emotional and he cries at the slightest issues. And then the 4th question, I believe, she says, what do we do when we have a boy who nags, argues a lot, and scolds his younger ones too much, but can be sweet when he wants to? So there's a question, another question about a boy crying. I believe the previous one would answer to that. Then this 5th one, which will be the last one we'll be taking, the question says, what can we do to get our boys to study? So we have 5 questions now, ma'am. Is it 5? Okay, yes, we can proceed, ma'am.
Okay, thank you very much. I'm going to start from the first one. How can we be there for grown-up boys? So for grown-up boys, what we have to do is a repair job. We have to repair the relationship, because most times when we've missed out on some things when they're younger, it most likely means that they're hardened emotionally and they probably don't have a connection. So it's a lot of repair work. I think that one of the best things we can do with our grown-up boys is to have conversations with them. It's to have very deep talks, and talks that would be open-ended and allow them the opportunity to talk freely. Too many times, and then I think I'll take the 3rd question together with it in this explanation. Too many times as women, when we're hurting because of maybe what a man has done, maybe their dad, whether we're still together or not, I mean, as women, we tend to feel really offended when our husbands do some things, and sometimes we're bleeding on our children. So too many times we nag quite a bit in the presence of our children. Remember, the girls are naturally more empathetic, so they don't want to tell you, mommy, you're nagging, so they tend to accommodate you better. The boys are pissed, and they just tend to feel, this woman has started again, and they tune off. So if we have grown-up boys that we believe we need to nurture emotional intelligence, we need to retrace our steps. We need to get mindful of what we have been projecting. Have we been nagging? Have we been complaining? Have we been ranting? Have we been Margaret Thatcher? Or have we been too permissive? Because yes, sometimes we might be too permissive and they will still gravitate away from us as they become teenagers. So whatever it is, repair work is the first thing to do. And one of the most effective ways to do that is through conversations. Oh, my dear son, can we have a talk? And the first time you say that, they might feel a bit unsafe and uncomfortable and look at you and be like, what's this woman about?
I can't hear the speaker any longer. Is it from my end? Can someone else hear?
I can't also. I think it's general.
To be back shortly. So please, on YouTube, copy and paste that, at Chrysalis Care Initiative on YouTube, and then please subscribe. When we hit 100 subscribers, that's when we upload the recording. So we've gotten a lot of direct messages, record. We're not sending it personally to anyone. It's going to be posted on that YouTube channel, and we created it for you. So as we mentioned, it is not monetized, right? All of us working at Chrysalis Care Initiative, the core team, we do not earn a kobo from it, right? We're just doing it out of passion and ensuring that our children are well raised. So while we wait for our speaker to get back on call, I think she lost her connection for a bit. Ensure, please, that you subscribe to the YouTube channel. Just like yesterday, we hit 100 on our feedback form and we brought in our speaker today. When we hit that 100 subscribers on our channel, we are going to be, we'll make sure that we upload all the recordings, not just yesterday and today, but all the previous recordings that we have done so far, at least those ones we can find, because we've done a lot, right? We're going to bring them, and you're going to find a lot of amazing sessions that I've held. We've brought in very top-notch psychologists and medical practitioners to teach us on how to raise, our children to be balanced adults. So please subscribe on YouTube. So, yes, she's back.
I'm sorry, there was a glitch there. I'm back now.
Yeah, we understand. Welcome back now.
Yeah. Okay, so I was saying that we need to have conversations. It can be informal, it can be unplanned, but we need to have heart-to-heart conversations. And because we're their mothers, there's usually a way that there's a natural love, a natural link, even when it feels like it's lost, even when it feels like we missed out on a lot of things over the years, we can still make up for those things. But it starts with conversations. And sometimes in those conversations, we need to apologize. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with saying, I'm sorry. I say I'm sorry when I wrong my children, and they know it. The first time I was going to do that, I haven't always been this kind of parent. I also learned. And the truth is, the first day I thought I needed to change my ways as a parent. I thought I was being too hard. I think my first child was about 8 years old at the time. And his immediate younger brother, so my first two are boys, his immediate younger brother was about 5+. My daughter was 3+. And then I had a little baby who was just about a year old. So I came home that day and I thought, I need to change my ways, and I need to help these children to be more organized and all. So I called for a family meeting. I told them to serve food. We wanted to talk. I said, okay, I want to start by apologizing for all the been doing wrong, for the times I just shout at them or snap. I'm just so irritable and this and that. I just wanted to apologize. And they were looking at me, especially my first son. He was looking at me like, this woman is apologizing. This one is set up. Hey, maybe there's something she's coming up with. And then I asked them that, okay, are there things I've been doing that they're unhappy with, that they should say it so that I can get better? And nobody spoke, because before then I was a kind of Igbaru Igbati kind of mother, and they're like, you tell mommy what she has been doing wrong, you're in trouble. But the truth is, that was the first of many more conversations, and it improved. They gradually realized that I meant business and I was willing to wrong my rights as a mom and for things to get better. Until today, every single one of my children, they know it, that you can have any conversation with mom. Even when she messes up, you can actually tell her. But it has been a very nice and respectful manner. That is one thing that we need to let them know when we're reconnecting with our boys. We need to apologize, seek for their forgiveness, because yes, we may have stepped on their toes at some point, and it's not a sign of weakness to do so. And of course, we need to keep having that. Another thing we can do is to get them a mentor. Sometimes when they have a mentor and a mentor helps them to see the brighter side of life, it might help them to reconnect better with you. Okay, the question about the 5-year-old crying a lot. A typical 5-year-old might cry a lot. I mean, a 5-year-old is still pretty much a child, probably in nursery 2 or primary 1. And, they tend to see crying as one of the most available coping mechanisms. So I don't think it's out of place. But if you think that, because you're the one that really knows that child and knows that this one is too much for a 5-year-old. If you think it's too much, then it means that you need to help your son to develop a stronger emotional intelligence. So you need to have conversations with the child. Don't, why are you crying? Have you started crying again? Cry, baby. What is it? No, please don't do that. If the boy's name, for example, is Ade, oh, Ade, you're crying again. Okay, can we have a conversation about this? What happened exactly? Oh, it's okay. Okay, hug mommy, that's fine. So, yes, it's okay to cry when you're hurt, but you can't cry all the time because your tears are actually very valuable. So you don't just want to use them at every point. So what do you think you could have differently? What should you have done instead of crying? Good, you should have walked up to your teacher to report. What should you have done instead of crying? Good, you could have come up to ask, because sometimes they want someone, instead of asking you for it, they just start crying. So when you have conversation and you rope, conversations are just very powerful. When we're effectively able to communicate with our children, we'll see results. So you need to help your 5-year-old so that as it grows up, they'll be able to cry less. I am quite emotional as well. And I think 2 of my sons did take after that part of me. And I was able to talk to them and help them see that, yes, it's okay and therapeutic to cry. You're not a weakling for crying, but you don't want to, your tears are, they say 1%, they say 1% water and 99% emotions. You don't just want to waste your tears and cry at any slight provocation. So what do you want to do? What should you do instead? Can you communicate your needs clearly? Can you, so that hopefully will help strengthen them and become more emotionally strong. And then you have a child that nags, a boy that nags a lot and argues a lot, and schools is younger, but sounding like someone who is quite irritable. And I must say, I might be wrong, I must say that in the environment, in the immediate environment, who nags a lot and who argues a lot. Nagging sounds like what a woman usually does, judging her, hearing usually does, but sometimes you also have women that argue a lot. So you yourself like your husband, are you nagging a lot around him? Are you arguing a lot around him? How are you treating his siblings? So because a lot of times children their parents will not nag, they will just get irritated and gravitate away from you when you nag too much. But there are some boys that will pick up their habits and start nagging as well. So you can't nag nagging. Have conversations and help him and hold him through it, so you can just call his attention, not in the presence of his young ones, because the more he feels embarrassed, the more he'll do it. Call him, maybe at a later time, or you can immediately kiss him or something. Have a conversation, the room or somewhere. Listen, you don't want to always make it this. Happens, there's always a way to talk about it. Families have to stop nagging if out an environment where he's as an escape. Because a child who's not in an environment where someone is nagging is not likely to.
That's probably bad. So we are not catching the nuggets properly.
Oh, sorry about it. Is it better now?
Still breaking.
Okay.
Maybe you may want to change
the network. When I go look out, I change the network. So maybe I should consider returning back to my old network.
Okay, all right, ma'am.
All right. Is it still breaking?
Yes, ma'am. It's still breaking.
Okay. Okay, I'm back to my previous network. Is this better?
Very well.
Is it better now?
Much better.
Oh, okay, great. Okay, great. So I was saying that you have to ensure that your boy does not continue to experience nagging. You have to find out the source of nagging. And sometimes we nag and we don't realize we nag. So with raising emotionally intelligent boys, we need to be very frank with ourselves. Am I the problem? Because sometimes we are the problem. So you might need to, in case you don't know you're nagging, you might need to ask some people, do I nag? And if they tell you yes, please don't take offense. Instead, work on it. And then the final one is the one that says boys do not study. They don't like reading. It's true. Girls love to read more. But again, back to the nature nurture thing. I told you about how I nurtured one of my boys to be more, to be more expressive and to show more emotions, to smile more and all that. So we can do the same for the studying part. So all my boys hug because that's how we do at home. We have to, it's just part of the growing up thing. So for the studying too, the research has shown that we have more, even novels. I mean, how many boys read novels? The girls are the ones that read the novels, but you can nurture them. So we'll have family reading time at home. I loaded the house with books when my children were young, loads and loads and loads of books. We bought Enid Blyton, we bought all the Secret Seven, we bought everything. You have to read and we're discussing it together. So I would say that apart from, in fact, not apart from, I think all my children read. Some of the boys read more than my girl. Some of the boys, at least two of them, read more than their sister. And that was the nurturing part of it. So you can nurture some things. And of course, you must read yourself. A lot of times we want our boys to be what we're not. We need to model it. I read a lot, so I'm reading my own, you're reading your own. We can't be on our phones and expect our children to read. A lot of parents tell me, those children, they don't like reading. Do you read? When last did you read? You don't need to have exams to read. There are lots of amazing self-development books out there that you can read, even if you're not a student, you're a business owner, you're an entrepreneur, you've gotten all the PhDs and certifications in the world. Yes, you don't need book knowledge, but you can still read books that will help you become a better person. And when you're a reader, you're automatically modeling love for books, and then you can also have time at home where people read. Boys, yes, usually do not like reading as much, but you can nurture them to develop it. Thank you all very much. I think that's the end of the questions that I have here. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Ma. Thank you. Looks like some people are raising their hands. I don't know if you have more time to take that. Do you want to?
Well, I guess I can spare about maybe 10 minutes. Yes.
Okay, so we'll just take two. So I'm going to go through the numbers, how the hands are raised. So we have number one is Kifaya Lawal. So let me unmute you. It's because people, if you give people access to unmute themselves, everything gets chaotic. So let me unmute you, Kifaya Lawal. No need to raise your hand if you haven't already. We're only taking the first two so that our speaker can go. So Kifaya Lawal, you can you can unmute and speak now, please. Are you here? Okay, so I'm moving quickly to Aisha Adebayo, the second person. So the second person is Aisha Adebayo. Aisha Adebayo, please unmute and speak. Please go ahead with your question.
Thank you so much, ma'am. My question has been answered, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. So the other person here is Fatima Titilayo. That's the person I'm taking next. Once we get two questioners, that will be all. So please kindly unmute and speak.
Thank you so much, Ma. I really enjoy being part of this class. Yes, I as a mother of all boys, I have all boys children. So just this morning, I was talking about the first three boys that if their wife said, I can't cook there, what would the likelihood of their response? So one will be like, oh, let me go and fix something. One will be like, oh, never mind, I'm okay. But one will be like, you have to go and do something. No, I'm hungry. So, and this, my perspective about them is about what I've noticed about them as their mother. How can I help each of them fix him to be a better man than what I can say about them as a mother?
Okay, thank you very much, Mommy, for raising emotionally intelligent boys. Having this kind of conversations with them would definitely help you to know their own thoughts and how you can help them to be more empathetic. So, I mean, you can use it as teaching moments, learning moments. Say, oh, but you know, women too are human, and if your wife is saying she can't cook, you have to consider the fact that she's tired. She didn't say that previously, she didn't do this and that. So you should help her if you can. And if you cannot, how about you just go for an option of maybe a snack or you drink Gary? You know, it sounds very funny, but those are the realities, indeed. And you want to make them think about those things without feeling guilty. You know, my boys know it. There are days that I am really tired and I've gone out all day and we're back, and they'll be the ones saying, oh, mommy, don't worry. Let's just find something. In fact, on our way, we're already thinking, what can we buy on the way? Should we just buy bread and just do bread and butter or bread and tea? Or should we just take Gary and we'll buy a bar or something, you know? And we're doing it. We're happy. We're excited. And their father is part of it as well. So I think that you can help model this behavior and make them see that you don't have to make life unbearable for your partner. Marriage and living together with your partner is supposed to be about mercy. It's supposed to be about love, and it can happen. And it's not always about being the head of the family. It doesn't make you a boss. It makes you a leader, and a leader is empathetic. In fact, you shouldn't wait for her to say, sorry, I can't cook. There's some days you look at her eyes and you can tell she's very tired. You should be the one to come up with the suggestion. Okay, you know what? Let me do the cooking today. Or you look at her and say, you know what? Gary is what I feel like taking today. Let's just take Gary. But you've seen it that she's tired, and that's why you're being considerate. If we look at the greatest of men in history, you would know that these are things that they did, and you're not a weakling for raising your boys to help their wives in the kitchen or to relieve them of the duty by settling for something that they don't have to cook, like bread, like Gary, or whatever else is convenient. And I do not feel embarrassed to say this, and my sons know it, that there is nothing wrong. All of them cook. All of them cook very well, except the 7-year-old. And even he's already doing a lot of, oh, I want to help to do this. So every time my daughter comes home from school, once it's summer break, oh, they're doing all sorts of trial. Okay, try this, try that. But he can make simple things already. So in my house, you have to learn how to cook, whether you're a boy or a girl. And the more they know how to cook, the more the confidence to help their wife, the more the empathy to realize what goes into cooking. So I think you're on the right track. Just keep letting them know that their wife is their partner in progress and not their slave, not their cook. Yes. Thank you.
Thank you very much, ma'am. So one of the previous. Yes. So I want the one question should be one we have asked before, but you didn't answer. The issue of the boy that if he's being bullied, some girls bully him. So should the mother tell him to fight back? I did read out that question earlier on.
Oh, yes. Yes, you did. I'm sorry, I skipped that. It's right here on my notepad. Yes, so that was a challenge I had with one of my sons. He was very kind, very meek, and just allow people to trample upon him. And I had to teach him strength, but not aggression. So the issue of fighting back is very tricky. And I remember there were times he would come back and the father would say, "Oh, so what did you do? You slapped the person back." And I would say, "Ah, no, don't slap the person back." And then I would be like, "Okay, so what is the balance? How do we strike a balance in reality?" The balance is, okay, I think I'm back. The balance is we need to help our children know that they have rights, but they also have responsibility. The fact that someone has slapped you does not mean you're going to slap the person back immediately. What you should do, especially because this usually happens in school or at home, is to go and report. You need an adult to mediate. That is part of responsibility. But we should also teach our children to know that gentility is not stupidity. And sometimes you need to teach some people very good lesson, especially when you have a repeated act. So a child slaps you and you've gone to report and something has been done or nothing has been done, and the same child comes back again. You know, sometimes you want to show somebody that you're more than them, you're stronger than them, without really going violent or physical. So somebody wants to slap you, you hold the hand very firmly and say, "If you try that again, ever," and that person realizes that I dare not. But let us assume that it actually happens again. Then it's important for you to stand up and fight back because you need to make a point. So when we have children that are timid, we need to teach them to be brave. But teaching them to be brave is not the same as teaching them to be aggressive. Someone hits you, you hit back. No, go report to the teacher or to the adults in charge where you are. You must have gotten to a point where even the teacher will stand up for you and say, "Ah, no. If so person did that, he was pushed to the wall, he will usually not do that." You defend yourself and defend your integrity and defend your self-worth. That, look, I am not somebody to be pushed about or trampled upon. The fact that I'm gentle doesn't mean I'm stupid, but it shouldn't be at the first and initial stage. We should always teach our children to follow order and to obey rules and regulation, which includes reporting to an adult. But they should also know, they should be strong enough to protect themselves anyway, because sometimes they don't even have the capacity. That's why they're crying. That's why they run off. So they should have the capacity, they should have the strength to be able to defend themselves. Oh, I got locked out again. Okay, I think I'm back in. Yes, but I've answered the question.
Yes,
Thank
you did. Thank you so much, ma'am. It's been a very, yes, you are. Can you hear me, ma'am?
Okay.
Can you hear?
Yes, I can hear you.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you. It's been an amazing evening with you. And we have a lot of chats on the webinar group, on the chat here, on Telegram, everywhere. It's been an amazing session. And someone specifically mentioned the fact that it is a conversation that we didn't know we needed. Right. So people think boys will just be there, they don't have emotions. And that's why we continue to raise, broken men. And then once they become men, we then expect them to do what we didn't teach them, how we didn't nurture them. So we are very happy that we were able to learn a lot from you. And it's a big surprise to me that you have 4 boys. I know your daughter, but I don't know your sons. So I'm surprised that she's the only girl anyway. So it's been an amazing time. Thank you so much. Thank you very much, ma'am. I'm just going to...
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome, ma'am.